The Empire of Grand Cathay, on the surface, is a land of perfect harmony and unity, led by the Dragon Emperor and his divine children. These powerful dragons in human form bring about a structure and a harmony to the Empire that helps stabilize them in a world of turmoil in the world of Warhammer Fantasy. At least that's the party line. The truth is, while the Dragon Emperor's children were meant to be guardians and advisors and generals for the Empire, old rivalries and new hurts have driven them apart. A lot of them serve their own ambitions, their own goals, and are concentrated purely on their selfish well-being. This has led to a lot of fracture and instability in Cathay as they enter the lore currently. Today we're going to be talking about the 6 dragons that are the children of the Divine Emperor and what they do and what their focuses are. It's a very complicated situation that took me a lot more time researching than I would have preferred for a video, but thanks to our sponsor for today, W Energy, I was able to accomplish it. I have become an energy drink fiend over the last decade or so. I've struggled to find one that I really like, but with my sponsor W, that all changed almost overnight. I was able to find energy drinks I like the Japanese yuzu flavor and Japanese soda and all that fun stuff, as well as really cool drinkware. I've become a fan of Freerin lately, and they did just collab with them for some really cool bottles and things like that, as well as cool merch. So if you want to try out a clean, healthy energy drink that has a lot less negative effects than anything else, the only thing you're going to get from W is a caffeine boost, unlike a lot of the other energy drinks where you're going to be feeling sick, or sometimes they just taste horrible, and you want to look cool drinking it, just like I do. Check out w.gg and use code WARGAME, which is going to pull up right here, for 10% off. w.gg, code WARGAME. If you enter that code, you'll get 10% off your first order, as well as any subsequent orders as well. And that goes to help sponsor the channel today, and have to give another shout out to my longest sponsor, W, once again. So, let me get some more energy, and we'll get back to the video. First, we're going to start in the frozen north with the great storm dragon, Miao Ying. From the fortress known as the Great Bastion, Miao Ying serves as the storm dragon, the ruler and protector of the north. Her duty is to sacrifice herself and her command in order to protect the Grand Cathay from the warriors of chaos and the destruction that it holds. She's also in charge of fighting against most of the other major threats that the Grand Cathay is up against. And she's in this position for a reason. She's extremely driven and extremely focused on the protection of her lands. She rarely steps away from the fight and yields control to those around her, and is constantly striving to find tactics and situations to improve the situation of the Empire of Cathay. The importance and vitality of her position has led a lot of her siblings to see her as the Emperor's favorite child. She's often the one in most contact with the Dragon Emperor himself, and has built a reputation of success and valor that has increased her standing in the Empire to very likely dissuade any other beliefs that she may or may not be his favorite. Unfortunately for her, this kind of puts her in a gilded cage. She has extremely high expectations of her and is often isolated from her siblings because of the demands of her position and the way all of her siblings view her as the Emperor's favorite. Often, she's even assumed to be the heir. This means that she's often left out of the petty squabbles of her siblings, which is probably nice, but it means that she doesn't have a lot of equals or friends that she deals with on a regular basis as well. So she tends to be almost a literal god of war for the Cathay. Always in the fight, always striven to control the situation and the northern borders. And she's also the only one of these dragons that we actually get to see on the tabletop currently. And her model is fantastic. It's by far my favorite for Cathay, and when I was looking at old world armies, it almost made me pick the Cathay instead of the armies I have now. The Night Goblin's army is about 2/3 of the way painted. If you check my post from a few weeks ago, you'll see where I'm at with those, as well as any of my social media has it as well. I'm super, super excited with how they're turning out so far. They look really good and are going to look fantastic on the tabletop once I get everything painted. But to get back to the most powerful child of the Dragon Emperor, Miao Ying, her life is very brutal. And the demands that her army is constantly putting on the Empire for supplies and reinforcements often puts her in a position where she has to deal with her siblings in a more formal way and leads to more issues and struggles with her relationships with them. And because of this, she's often having to use her power inside the court to deal with them formally and informally. This leads to a lot of issues and lack of familial relations with her siblings. But despite all of this, she is still the most powerful of the children of the Dragon Emperor and the most trusted of her people. The next dragon is Zhao Ming. Zhao Ming is the Iron Dragon. He controls the western provinces, which are famous for their trade and, more oddly, its alchemy. A lot of what comes out of his territory is sent north to help his sister in their fight, but it's also the place where the Empire makes a lot of its money. The creations and resources that come from his territory in the western provinces are vital to the Empire and its strength in itself. Unlike his sister to the north, who's known for being very cold and aloof, Zhao Ming is the most outgoing and approachable of all of the rulers of Cathay and the children of the Dragon Emperor. But behind this outgoing, gregarious nature is a very unsettling truth. And that is the Iron Dragon is slowly going mad. Because of his fascination with alchemy, and because his territories live on the edge of the Warpstone Desert, he has started to become obsessed with different types of corruption and the different types of uses for Warpstone in general. While his sister is constantly fighting chaos, Zhao Ming has become fascinated with the energies of corruption and what they can do. Some believe he's even gone so far as to be tainted by Zeech. His siblings view him as eccentric and with a little bit of suspicion because he's not the most stable, but he's extremely vital to the success of the Empire as a whole. So he tends to be left to his own devices, which has led to a lot of problems. Over the years, he's been known to be involved in untold horrors to his people, as well as raiders and trolls and things like that come out of the desert. These cruelties are often related to his genius, which encourages him to push the bounds of reality. But it's led a lot of people to know him by a different moniker than the Iron Dragon, and that is the Mad Dragon. The next is Yuan, the Jade Dragon. His seat is the capital itself. He's the administrative heart of the Empire. And to a lot of his siblings, he's seen as a paper pusher and a bureaucrat in the Empire. But a lot of the work he does in the background is the very reason his siblings are able to do what they do. Yuan is considered the real power behind the Jade Throne. While his sister's up north fighting chaos, and his brother is in the west dabbling in forbidden arts, Yuan is what keeps the Empire together. With his constant coordination, his mastery of spycraft and enforcers, he's even been known to some circles as the Emperor's executioner. He's a master of intrigue and architects his father's grand design. His knowledge is vast and is extremely powerful, but he can't wield it himself. He doesn't need to raise armies or go to war or even deal directly with his siblings in a lot of cases to wield the power he needs to wield. Over the years, he's come to see this entire situation as a divine game that he enjoys playing with his siblings, controlling everything from the background and tweaking little things here and there to get the results he wants. And this has led to a power struggle with his siblings that there's no real solution to. When his parents first disappeared, Yao was the single holding factor that held everything together during the time of disharmony. When his siblings all squabbled for control and access, he quickly calculated the results that he needed to be the center of the storm and has held it together ever since. While her siblings all looked landward or to the Empire itself, Yin-Yin, the sea dragon, is the admiral of the Grand Dragon fleet. Her focuses are on the sea and everything beyond. Her port city of Fuchao is a bustling cosmopolitan hub filled with a variety of different nationalities and life, and is a global trade center for everything in the East. But her ambitions have caused a lot of friction with a lot of her siblings. She's known for being very inquisitive, but also incredibly impulsive. Her burning desire is to project Cathay's power across the seas to the lands far away, and this has led to a lot of pull between her and Miao Ying up north, where resources are being pulled in two different directions and warriors are being sent in two different directions, and is causing a bunch of friction inside her family. Every treasure fleet or raider fleet or conquest fleet that she commissions pulls away resources from the Grand Bastion to the north or to the southern defenses that protect from everything else. Her expeditions aim to open new trade routes, are often seen by her siblings as reckless gambles that stretch the Empire's resources to their utmost. And this has led to a lot of tension between her and the rest of her siblings. Though none of her disastrous invasions are documented in any type of lore, we do know of her ambitions and how it chafes against her traditions and her family. And often people wonder if this may be one of the new paths for Cathay, given that their borders are pretty locked in the other directions. Finally, we turn our attention to the south, in the deep jungles, where Li Dao, the fire dragon, holds the border against the monstrous Naga of Kuresh and the armies of Ind. These epic foes are ones that aren't heavily represented in the lore or in anything on the tabletop, which means we don't know a ton about them, and I'm going to be diving into those later, hopefully. If you guys enjoy this, let me know in the comments below if you want me to deep dive more into Cathay. This has been interesting, and I've enjoyed it. And don't forget to like and subscribe. But these foes only understand one thing, and that's Li Dao's wrath and his fiery temperament. He harbors deep resentment for his sister up north because she draws most of the focus and most of the reinforcements and supplies, while he's forced to fight on his own. A direct quote attributed to him says it all. "Those in the central provinces always look north, to the grandstanding of my sister at the Great Bastion." He feels completely overlooked and forgotten in his endless fight down south, and is often underappreciated for what he does. This bitterness and resentment has built into a major tension between him and the rest of his siblings that may bring about the end of the Jade Throne as a whole. So, does all of this add up to civil war? It isn't a war that's being fought with banners and clashing armies like we expect in most of the Warhammer Fantasy world, but at least it's not yet. The time of disharmony led to a instability that's almost turned into a Cold War at this point, that's being waged in the shadow courts of the Empire and across the vast provinces as well. It's not as much a war for territory as it is a war for resources, influence, and competing visions for what Cathay should be. Miao Ying demands ever more soldiers and supplies for the Great Bastion up north, but these resources fall under the control of Yuan and his bureaucracy, who has his own agenda. Zhao Ming's alchemical hobbies could produce superweapons that finally turn the tide of either the war in the north or the south, or it could create a province-destroying plague that will shred the Empire from the inside out. And his family's not super sure if they want to gamble on that. Li Dao's desperate pleas for resources and supplies often go unanswered because his sister Yin-Yin is diverting those resources to build her own fleets and prepare for the next expedition. This isn't just family drama, it's fundamental disagreements that historically have led to the collapse of kingdoms. This time of darkness and disharmony has led to instability and a major crack in the Jade Throne itself and the power it holds. With the Emperor and Empress vanished, their children are trying to hold it together, but ageless dragons aren't big on sharing, and their singular focuses on their own desires has led them to quarrel and squabble in secret and in the background. And this is where we see the Empire of Cathay today. If you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure you guys like and subscribe. We have a bunch of new stuff coming that I'm very, very excited about, and we're going to be shifting our focus almost exclusively to the old world. So if there's topics you guys would like to hear, make sure you guys share it in the comments below, and I will check them out and get them created as soon as I can. And don't forget to go check out W Energy and use my code WARGAME to get 10% off your purchase there. I love working with them. They're a product that I'm very proud to work with and use all the time. So go check them out, and I will see you guys in the next one.